I'm not against junk food. I'm not against business. And all I'm saying is don't market junk food as healthy. What people don't know is one day after the Bonvita sent me a legal notice, I got 2 other legal notices from Real Juice and Chyawanprash. But media for whatever reason did not capture that at all. My point is news channel वाले लोग जिसका 100 एम्प्लॉय होते हैं उतना रीच पूरे 100 एम्प्लॉय लोग का मिला के वो नहीं होता
24/7 न्यूज करते हैं
हाँ और उन लोग को लोग नहीं बोलते हैं आप पार्ट टाइम कर रहे हो या नहीं मैं एक इंडिविजुअल अकेला इतना रीच है और मेरे को बोलते हैं आप पार्ट टाइम कर रहे हो नहीं कर रहे बट द टैगलाइन द वर्ड इन्फ्लुएंसर समटाइम्स cheapens you.
Revant, welcome to the BarberShop. I remember talking to you on Instagram video once. I think I just called you, we exchanged messages and I called you. But, you know, any episode where, you know, someone like you comes along and for our viewers, I start with, Acha, what's the genesis of your story and aapne kaise chal. But with you, that's not required at all because I think it is so public and it is so well known and you have done such a phenomenal job in mobilizing our country and your viewers on probably the most important thing in their life, which they do 3 to 4 times a day, that we don't need to kind of कि तुमने ये कैसे चालू किया. I think वो mostly लोगों को पता है. But first of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You are such an inspiration because I think you have your heart in the right place. You do things with a view of helping people every day. And you have made some personal enemies in the process. You have gone through tremendous amount of personal strife. But I wanted to use this time to go deeper into who you are and why you do what you do.
Yeah.
So, what took a Wharton grad who was working at McKinsey on the other side of the ocean, decide to come back to his home country and take on an industry?
Yeah, I mean, there's no clear answer. I think there's a lot of small things which led up to this. But I was in the US and whenever I used to eat anything like, you know, buy grocery, US has way more packaged food than India. I feel like, you know, वहाँ पर और ज़्यादा खाते हैं. So US maybe I used to see that there's so much of like, you know, mislabeling and lot of lies in the packaged food, even though it's a very developed country. So I wanted, like, you know, I used to get irritated then, like, you know, I wanted to do something in this space. But rather than doing it in the US, कि India में करो जहाँ से मैं हूँ. So that was like one thought process. In a more philosophical level, in our life, what is the most important? One of the most important things is health. Health क्या चीज़ से बनता है? काफ़ी हद तक खाने से. खाना हम क्या खा रहे हैं? Last 20-30 years ज़्यादातर packaged food.
Correct.
हजारों साल के ह्यूमन हिस्ट्री में पहली बार ऐसे हो रहा है कि वी आर ईटिंग सो मच पैकेज फूड एंड पैकेज फूड मोस्टली इज ओपनली ब्लेटेंटली लाइंग टू अस. So if I'm able to solve packaged food in any way or form, I'm solving one of the biggest issues in our life. Once again, life, health, food, and packaged food is lying.
Correct.
So I just think, again, as you said, we're eating packaged food 3-4 times a day, and if I'm able to solve it in any way or form, it's a very big problem. And rather than solving it in US, which is a very developed country, I would rather solve it in India, where I'm from. So these were a few thought processes which led me to come back. Obviously, it was a very, very major risk. Because when I left McKinsey and I left the US, I did not just leave a job. I also made a decision that I'll never ever do a job again because I knew कि जब मैं वो video बनाया, Bonvita was my first video.
It blew up, no?
It blew up. And the point was that there was a lot of controversial like things on Google about me. Like, you know, for example, Bonvita said that my video is not scientific. So if you Googled my name, the first thing for like many days would come up was this particular influencer. They used to call me influencer, even though I didn't have any influencer or whatever. They wrote this influencer's video is unscientific, or like, you know, Cadbury saying that this particular video is unscientific. So my thing is, I would probably not even ever get in a job because, you know, background check होता है और अगर आपका disprove हो गया आप जो बोल रहे हो, it's a very, very major risk you are taking from, again, McKinsey and things like that. So it is a very, very drastic call I took.
A rational mind would not take it.
No rational mind would take it. Not only to leave the US, आपका वीज़ा, वो सब लोग सालों साल काम करते हैं वीज़ा के लिए, वो वीज़ा सब छोड़ के यहाँ आना, और फिर आप पंगे ले रहे हो within 2 weeks with the biggest companies, And essentially आपको कोई और जॉब मिलेगा नहीं क्योंकि बैकग्राउंड चेक वो सब में no company wants to hire someone who's controversial जो इसे बड़े कंपनी के अगेंस्ट किया. It is a very risky call, but yeah, that's what is going well.
Passion is passion, no?
Uh-huh.
No, but people don't talk about it much. You're right. So I was seeing a research somewhere that people really blame in the US. Like there are some clear corporate lobbying villains, right? Guns. You know that the NRA is lobbying the government for guns in the US. It is well known. There are people for it, there are people against it, but it is known. Big Pharma. People know that there is lobbying of the government for regulations, FDA, for vaccines, pharmaceuticals, insurance, because US में वो बड़ा lobby है. Big Tobacco. It's called Big Tobacco. There is multiple class action suits, lung cancer, this, that, and the other, heart disease, cardiologists. Everyone knows tobacco is bad. All of these companies get together, lobby Big Tobacco. Food is not known to be a villain, but the American food industry is actually blatantly lobbying a lot.
Yeah.
They spend more than 11 times the National Institute of Health on funding R&D on food in the nutrition space. I can only imagine what a nutritional scientist or a PhD or a professor is publishing after being funded millions of dollars on a particular ingredient and so on, and which has led to very, like for a long time people would say eggs are good. Then some people would say the yellow in the eggs is not good. You don't know. Breakfast is great, cereals are great, then you suddenly realize cereals are not great. And America is actually the cultural capital of the world. So what starts in America becomes global very quickly.
Yeah.
So India, I think, is a lot more local in terms of food habits and so on. We are kind of insulated on this front. But US, the labeling and all must be multiple times worse than what it is in India. Or am I wrong on this?
So I think it's very India's simple lies कि वो openly sugar लिखेंगे कि ये कि लोगों को पता ही नहीं है कि लेबल चेक भी करना चाहिए या नहीं. तो वो अभी भी शुगर ही लिखते हैं. यूएस में वो थोड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेट करेंगे. इट्स कॉम्प्लिकेटेड लाइंग, एडवांस्ड लाइंग, बिकॉज दे नो दैट सम कंज्यूमर्स आर चेकिंग द लेबल्स एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. They will use some complex strategies, so they'll use synonyms for sugar.
What are the synonyms for sugar?
Like sucrose, glucose, high fructose corn syrup, brown sugar, like various things.
Okay. Just to make it look like it's less sugar.
Also, one interesting thing, I don't know if you'll get it in one go or not. So, मैंने बहुत बार बोला, ingredient lists are listed in order of weight. So, the first ingredient is the one which is highest by volume, then the second ingredient, then the third.
By weight.
So descending order of weight. तो अगर शुगर पहला इंग्रेडिएंट है सबसे ज़्यादा होता है. तो यूएस में क्या करते हैं, बिकॉज उन लोगों को पता है कि कंज्यूमर्स नो कि दे रीड द ऑर्डर एंड अगर शुगर पहले है दे अवॉइड इट, दे यूज 4 डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ शुगर. तो वो पहले फर्स्ट इंग्रेडिएंट नहीं होगा,
वो नीचे आ जाएगा.
तो 4 इंग्रेडिएंट रहेंगे शुगर का.
उनका सम विल बी हाईएस्ट.
तो वो इतना एडवांस्ड मार्केटिंग है मैं बोल रहा हूँ. So these are the level of like बहुत like there's a very very famous company called RX Bar, and they used to write 5-6 ingredients and then they used to write and no other BS. So when they write and no other BS, people would think और कुछ नहीं है इसमें, खाली वो they used to write dates and almonds and no other BS. And then there were many other things. खाली the no other BS meant कि nothing else which they were claiming to be bullshit. But there were many other things. So my point is, there's just advanced marketing, I think. It's not that वहाँ पर the level of lies is just higher.
It was deceptive. Wow. So the Bonvita ad takes off. Not ad, Bonvita video takes off.
Opposite of ad, I guess.
No, the anti-ad. And what happens then? Like suddenly, like there is, I heard the firm was kind of insisting on taking it down.
Yeah, so there were many things which happened. First of all, I think within a span...
There must be a big client for us also.
Yeah. So within a span of a week or 10 days of me coming back from the US, through my Bonvita video, I became the unofficial face of food safety in India. Like just apne aap. That is a separate thing I'll come to later. But what happened was with the Bonvita incident, I made that video. It got crazy traction. Like I had 1,000 followers and still I got 12 million views. And more than the 12 million views on Instagram, it went crazy viral on WhatsApp. So I made the video in English. but people translated in Hindi, Marathi, other languages, all over villages, towns, all over. And then Bonvita sent a legal notice, asked me to take down the video.
In India.
Haan.
हाँ.
Then I took down the video because it was first ever. Like, मुझे भी पता नहीं है क्या कर रहा हूँ ये वो. And then और भी viral हो गया क्योंकि फिर news capture करने लग गया कि this David Goliath and this major company is bullying essentially an individual. So the news media got very involved. Then Bonvita said that my video is not scientific. So it's a very
What is the video? Remind me. What is the video? We'll show it to the viewers. But what
it was a simple video जिसमें just खाली बोला कि it's just as सामने में बोल रहे हैं all these 5-6 claims कि strong bones, strong health, strong muscles, ये वो immune system, and पीछे में if you turn around it has about 50% sugar. It's a very simple video, and then I used some the tagline is तैयारी जीत की. So I just made a fun that instead of तैयारी जीत की, they should rebrand themselves and call themselves तैयारी diabetes की. And things like that, and it went insane viral. And people were like, all these years we've been having Bonvita and we've been feeding our kids Bonvita and we've been lied to, and people did not realize how harmful it is. And there was some
food companies, especially high repeat food companies with love, one incident like this can be dangerous. Like we saw it with Maggie, we saw it with a lot of others.
So I think after the Maggie incident, probably this was the most amount of media hype which any particular incident got. And someone, it became, I cannot tell you how big it was, that there were politics involved, there were a lot of things involved.
Really?
Yeah, and someone got so angry with Bonvita, they put up a hoarding on Marine Drive. Like, I actually don't know the person who the person is.
Some other person?
Random person. They got so angry कि Bonvita cheat किया मेरे को, वो hoarding लगाया वहाँ. So my point है, इतना level पे ये हुआ था. And then Bonvita बोला कि मेरा video scientific नहीं है. And now put yourself in my shoes. कि I have left my job. I am in India now. And Bonvita said, so I will probably not get any other job. My relatives are like, क्या कर रहा है, अपना job छोड़ दिया, यहाँ आ गया. And Google करो, मेरा नाम बदनाम हो गया. And then out of nowhere, it's almost like a miracle, one of India's leading doctor bodies said a public statement saying that my videos are entirely scientific. So a team of 8 doctors and nutritionists signed a document.
And you had nothing to do with what?
Nothing. I didn't know them. That time again, I'm just freshly out of the US. 13 years I've been in the US. So I've just come back from the US. So it was almost like a Swadesh sort of a thing. I've just moved back. Like there's no connection to India I have at this point. So, and then they put up a public statement, and then 2 weeks after that public statement, so I'll tell you, Bonvita sent me a legal notice mid of last year. The government sent Bonvita a legal notice April end, within 2 weeks, and asked Bonvita to take down their misleading ads. So it was crazy.
Wow. And this was, you were now in Bombay at this time?
I was in Calcutta. So I just recently moved to Bombay.
Okay.
Mumbai. I was in Calcutta, where my hometown is. And I just moved back, and I kept making videos more and more. One video I made on Bonvita, and then 3-4 days later I made on Chyawanprash, then Tang, then Real Juice, and then pretty much any food with markets that are healthy. And it just kept getting viral. The second video went viral, third video went viral. Which most people क्या होता है ना, viral होते हैं लोग, फिर भूल जाते हैं. जैसे वो आए थे, so beautiful, so good looking, just looking like a wow. लोग भूल जाते हैं. मेरे केस में because it kept going viral.
But tell me what's happening here. Like compare India and US. So one thing is very clear, कि calories have become very cheap. Sugar, maida, any of the calories which human beings love to eat have become cheap, and they are very tasty. So food companies obviously find it a beautiful concept. You make something tasty, unhealthy, it will sell and people will repeat and buy. And you can package it as something healthy and kind of at least put thoda bahut juice में कुछ real fruit डालो या फिर कुछ अच्छा ingredient डालो ताकि उसको थोड़ा palatable बनाए. But is it as simple as that?
Yeah, essentially, it's like sugar and maida and palm oil. These are the 3 cheapest raw material you can find, and it's also tasty. So it's a beautiful balance. And to be fair to the companies, while I criticize the companies, I am also empathetic, because these guys are catering to 140 crore essentially. or at least 100 crore people at the same time.
Correct.
So they are not catering to South Bombay or South Delhi or like the rich people only.
Correct.
So अगर आपको स्केल में जो आप पार्ले जी खा रहे हो वही सेम पार्ले जी विलेज में भी कोई खा रहा है,
करेक्ट,
तो आपको सस्ता बनाना ही पड़ेगा.
करेक्ट.
आपको 3, 4, 5, 10 रुपए में बेचना ही पड़ेगा. 10 रुपए का लेज में कॉस्ट प्राइस 1-2 रुपए का मैक्स होता है, तो आपको क्या दे देगा. So I understand also from the company's perspective कि it is not easy to sell high quality stuff when the price point is so low and the customer is so price sensitive.
Correct.
So I understand also where they are coming from. I'm not blatantly just criticizing out of no reason, but that is the honest part of it.
But वो सही है. Like for example, Parle Ji, like for 5 rupees, is able to give you a sweet, good tasting biscuit in a cup of tea, which anyone who's working a tough job or a school child who may be belonging to households that have under 10 to 12,000 rupees a month of income, for them that becomes something they look forward to a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, moment you make it non-palm oil or non-sugar or non-maida, something more expensive, the taste goes away, and more importantly, it becomes unaffordable for like a large percentage of people very quickly.
100%.
So, I'm sure large companies are figuring out कि यार देश को खिलाना भी है.
हाँ, तो मेरे को I think what will happen in the next 5 years, there'll be 2 things which I feel. One is the existing companies which are like the huge, like Britannia, Amul, whatever the big companies are, Parle. I think they will come up with 2 versions of their products, one very mass market and one more premium. Like I am very sure in the next 2-3 years, Bonvita, Horlicks, Boost and all these other companies will have one premium version of their product. So, which is made with much more premium ingredients. If you can afford it, buy this. If you cannot afford it, buy the regular Bonvita. If you can afford that, so I feel that will one major shift which will happen, and there will be versions of both things, which currently is not there as much. Second thing is the startups, which I can keep going on, so I'll speak about that in time. But like,
so go on.
Yeah,
let your thoughts flow.
Yeah. So startups में क्या है? Last 10 years, there have been many food startups which have come up. These food startups also, to a very large extent, are using various marketing gimmicks. While they are definitely better than the legacy players, they also are using various marketing gimmicks here and there, and they try to find their loophole as well. Like, बहुत सारे peanut butter brands हैं जो वो भी अपना मतलब शुगर वुगर ऐड कर देंगे, बट पीनट बटर इज अ कैटेगरी विच इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी हेल्दी, तो हाई प्रोटीन लिख देंगे. Everyone knows peanut butter is very high in fat, more than protein. It has very high in calories. But they'll write protein everywhere because perception है कि peanut butter में बहुत protein है. मतलब they will play their own game. It's still better than the legacy players, but they are playing their own game.
But for example, if someone is saying unsweetened, zero sugar, pure peanut butter crunchy, उसमें भी
that is probably fine. Okay. They also can technically add vegetable fat and things like that.
Okay.
But most likely they'll be better. But there are gimmicks you can do in the protein bar space. There's a lot of gimmicks, like
for example,
protein bar और energy bar दो अलग चीज होता है.
Correct.
लेकिन audience को energy bar और protein bar का difference नहीं पता. वो देखते हैं वो बार के फॉर शेप में, वो देखते हैं प्रोटीन है, वो खा लेते हैं.
Correct.
वो essentially चॉकलेट है. एनर्जी बार क्या है? वो चॉकलेट है, बट गिल्ट हट जाता है. जब आप कोई चीज़ को एनर्जी बार बुलाओ, गिल्ट हट गया, आपको जब मन आया खा लिए. तो वो जो कंपनीज बेच रहे हैं एनर्जी बार, उनको पता है कि ये भी बस एक शुगर है, बट वो अपने आप को एक तो सब जो प्रोटीन बार बेचते हैं उनका एक प्रोटीन बार होता है, एक एनर्जी बार होता है. प्रोटीन बार इज एक्सपेंसिव, लाइक 150 रुपीज. एनर्जी बार इज 75 रुपीज. मोस्ट पीपल ऑफर 75 रुपीज वाला चीज़ विदाउट थिंकिंग कि इसमें कितना एक्चुअली प्रोटीन है. उसमें 2-4 ग्राम प्रोटीन होता है. सो माई पॉइंट इज, लोग प्रोटीन बार खाते हैं बट एक्चुअली एनर्जी बार खा रहे हैं. एनर्जी क्या है? शुगर है. तो वही है, मतलब कि they are very easy. It's very easy to fool the Indian audience because the Indian audience is not very nutritionally literate. So I keep saying this one thing: India is educated, we are not health literate. So I think that is what is being exploited. But one thing which I'll tell you, in the next 4-5 years, in fact now itself, from the next 3 years itself, you will have many clean label startups. But अगर आप आज कंपनी चालू कर रहे हो, आप मार्केटिंग गिमिक बहुत सोच समझ के करोगे, आप नहीं करोगे.
करेक्ट.
क्योंकि लोग मेरे को बोलते रहते हैं यार तू सब कुछ बोलते रहे खराब है तो खाएंगे क्या, लेकिन अब मैं इतना ज़्यादा कर रहा हूँ ना, तो अब ऑल्टरनेटिव्स आ जाएंगे अपने आप.
करेक्ट.
नेक्स्ट 3 साल में आप बहुत स्टार्टअप्स को देखेंगे जो हेल्दी चीज़ बेच रहे हैं. सो आई थिंक कि अभी बहुत बढ़ने वाले हैं ऑल्टरनेटिव्स, एंड अब वो मार्केटिंग गिमिक नहीं कर पाएंगे. वो सोचेंगे यार हम चलो यार थोड़ा 5 रुपये एक्स्ट्रा चार्ज करते हैं लेकिन बेटर प्रोडक्ट दे देते हैं, कि गलती से कोई फूड फार्मर या कोई और वीडियो नहीं बनाते हमारे ऊपर. अब कंज्यूमर अवेयर हो गया है, एंड एग्जिस्टिंग अमूल, ब्रिटानिया, पार्ले एंड ऑल दिस बिग प्लेयर्स ऑल्सो ना, जब नया प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च कर रहे हैं वो सोचेंगे 100 बार सोचेंगे कि अब हम 1% के आमंड डाल के अपने आप को आमंड बिस्किट नहीं बुलाएंगे. जैसे गुड डे बिस्किट उसे बोलते हैं ना कि 1% कैशू डाल दो, बोल दो कैशू बिस्किट है. अब नया प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करेगा ब्रिटानिया, वो नहीं करेंगे. अब वो सोचेंगे 5-10 बार सोचेंगे.
Have you spoken to these guys outside of the courts?
Not really.
Like employees there,
Employees
alumni there,
हाँ.
to meet you in a party, etc.
हाँ, वो सब होता है. Like, you know, airport.
क्या बोलते हैं लोग, बोलते हैं क्या? Like people who have been in these food industry.
Honestly, no one is a bad person. Like, you know, no one who's working at a, like, you know, I have had my biggest fight essentially like, publicly with Mondelez,
Correct.
which is Cadbury essentially. They're not bad people. They're regular people जो एक job कर रहे हैं वहाँ. And they have also told me that they support what I'm doing. They understand it. Like, you know, कोई airport में मेरे को मिलता है from Unilever, from like any of these companies, they understand, यार, what you're saying is true. We are doing our job, you are doing your job. And so they understand कि they have to hit their sales target, and it's a very, very, like, you know, it's a very large company. You just can't flip the coin. You can't just turn around things immediately. So I think I understand their thing. They're trying to maximize profit. They have shareholders and they have to be accountable to all of them. My only thing is try to market yourself accurately. इतना like ज़्यादा extreme, like, you know, थोड़ा एक limit में झूठ बोलो.
For me, the one video of yours that really hit home was the fresh tomato one.
हाँ.
Like, I could not believe that Kisan has a fresh tomato product where the fresh tomato is not a claim but the brand name, and that was the loophole. I could not believe that passed legal muster in India.
And there are so many things like this. So many. Like if I take 2-3 examples right now.
Without, like what hit you the hardest? Because you clearly know this very well.
I think the hit me the hardest was ORS. So there are many hydration drink. There are many companies which are called ORS. नाम trademark करा लिया ORS, and they're not an ORS. So they call themselves ORS. अगर आप pharmacy company like कोई भी pharmacy का दुकान जाओगे वहाँ ORS बोलोगे भैया मेरे को ORS दो, वो आपको ORS देंगी, वो fake ORS है. Pharmacy medicine shops are giving you fake ORS. So that hits me. And बहुत सारे famous company ORSL. If I'm not wrong, a very, very big giant is owning ORSL. Like a...
How do you spell it?
ORSL. I may be wrong, but I think Johnson & Johnson owns it. I may be wrong though. And it's... ORSL is the brand name.
Wow.
So, there's another company, WIT ORS. ORS is the brand name. They've trademarked the word ORS. So this one hits me, and it's a medical product. So imagine you are very dehydrated, you are like, heat stroke या कुछ हो गया, आप ORS पी रहे हो, वो नकली ORS है. You can literally die.
J&J. ORSL is J&J.
J&J, imagine.
J&J does. In today's day and age, J&J does not have the moral high ground on a lot of things.
But even then, like, it's a giant company which is doing this. And there are so many things like this. I don't know if I should say it. Taza milk.
Amul ka.
Taza is the brand name. Fresh paneer. Fresh is the brand name. There's countless examples. They've trademarked words which healthy and tasty is. An oil trademark the word healthy and tasty. So it's mind-boggling.
But the Indian government is by design. You look at SEBI, you look at FSSAI, you look at any of these regulators, they're very conservative and good regulators. They should not be allowing this in the first place, right?
So yes, 100%.
It should not require someone like you to come from the US to India to invest all this, put personal life at stake for 100%. The government to step in.
हाँ, I'll give them credit. The government की last 6 महीना में बहुत कुछ किए हैं. I don't know last 50-60 साल में क्या हुआ है, but last 6 महीना में बहुत कुछ हुआ है. अभी recently एक self declaration form हुआ है कि
I saw that.
So anyone in the food and health space, earlier it was for everyone, but that became too complex. So now they're restricted to food and health. any advertisement which goes out, they have to put a self-declaration form that there's nothing misleading in this ad. And they're like putting themselves more at like, public accountability.
This is from the company.
Every company has to put that up. Any ad you put up. Then they've put up like, Bonvita was removed from health drink. So Bonvita, all that are products in that category. Now they can't call themselves health drink anymore. Again, the government did that. They put a thing against.
So what is a health drink today, for example? Like what classifies as a health drink which is available?
Nothing can call themselves health drink. So the word health drink also cannot be used by anyone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which a lot of companies were blatantly using. Then they went against 100% fruit juice. So many of these Tropicana and Real and all, they were calling themselves 100% fruit juice. जबकि उसमें mainly concentrate था juice का and ज़्यादातर water था.
आपने कभी देखा है how juice is made? कभी पियोगे नहीं यार उसको.
मैंने भी नहीं पीता.
But because it's a concentrated छोटू सी चीज, like it looks powdery and solid. It gets rebottled in some place, in some third location, पानी डाल के. It kind of becomes big and oh my goodness. Like if you know where it comes from, and I understand that people are doing this because frankly, how will you distribute actual fresh juice to 140 crore people across our entire breadth and length of our country is complicated. So you can't do it. So you either do it like this or you deprive people of having juice. But you're right. I think if you can make the objective market truthfully.
I have always said this. I'm not against junk food. I'm not against business. And all I'm saying is don't market junk food as healthy. And don't be mindless capitalists, be conscious capitalists, which is my entire point कि यार थोड़ा तो यार moral ground रखो. मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि कमाओ मत, कमाओ यार, प्लीज कमाओ, कमाने से ही हम लोग का देश चलेगा.
Correct.
लेकिन थोड़ा mindfully करो. So बस वही point है.
तो क्या सरकार ने एक तो मतलब हेल्थ ड्रिंक किया,
सेल्फ डिक्लेरेशन फॉर्म लाया, 100% फ्रूट जूस को हटाया वर्ड, तो अब 100% फ्रूट जूस नहीं बुला सकते हैं. और भी बहुत कुछ बाहर आए हैं, तो वो लाइक अब मुझे इमीडिएटली मैं थोड़ा ब्लैंक आउट कर रहा हूँ. बट कुछ कंपनीज भी भी अच्छा स्टेप लिया है. अभी हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर ने अपने सोप से 25% पाम ऑयल कम किया. लेज ने अनाउंस किया कि वो पाम ऑयल रिप्लेस करेंगे. सो ये कंपनीज कर रहे हैं अपने आप से कि देख के ये वो
कॉन्शियस कैपिटलिज्म.
हाँ, कॉन्शियस कैपिटलिज्म. एंड आई थिंक गवर्नमेंट ने और भी कुछ किया है. लाइक चाइल्ड राइट्स बॉडी ने भी काफ़ी कुछ वार्न किया कि ये सब मत करो, और मतलब पब्लिक स्टेटमेंट्स. चाइल्ड राइट्स बॉडी इज डूइंग वेरी गुड जॉब इन द लास्ट फ्यू मंथ्स. सो आई थिंक कुछ काम अच्छा हो रहा है, एंड होपफुली वो और एग्रीवेट हो.
What is the role that you play in this whole thing? Because you are neither a company, neither are you a part of the government. You are basically representing consumers by telling consumers to be wary of and label Padhega. And I love that campaign, by the way. Just phenomenal, right?
Thank you.
You are just putting your voice and your influence to good use. But once you're off Instagram and in the real world and you're kind of interacting with members of the ecosystem.
First of all, can I just interrupt you? I feel in today's day and age, Instagram is also real world. I think sometimes we use this Instagram and real world. वो भी real world है. अभी इतना हम लोग we spend enough time on that that's also real world. Anyway,
तो बना ही रहे ना content.
Anyway,
BarberShop. No, but you're right. I think once off screen.
Yeah.
What's the role that you play once you're off screen with different members of the ecosystem, whether it's companies or consumers or regulators?
I don't have any role as such specifically defined. I keep getting reach out, like a lot of startups reach out to me, कि either market us or help us, advise us, कि we are like genuinely wanting to do the right thing, कि but हम लोग को न्यूट्रिशन नॉलेज है नहीं, ना ही हमारे उतना बिजनेस नॉलेज है, तो आप मेरे को सही ट्रेंड बता देगा कि कौन सा इंडस्ट्री में घुसना चाहिए, कौन सा प्रोडक्ट चालू करना चाहिए. सो लॉट ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स कॉन्टैक्ट मी कि आप प्लीज़ यार मेरा सही प्रोडक्ट है, आप मार्केट कर दो मेरे लिए. सो दैट इज द स्टार्टअप्स विच आई हैव मार्केटेड many प्रोडक्ट्स फॉर फ्री. इतने सारे प्रोडक्ट्स को मैं किया हूँ कि ये प्रोडक्ट खराब है बट ये थोड़ा बेटर है. लाइक पीनट बटर फॉर एग्जाम्पल में वीडियो बनाया, तो ये खराब पीनट बटर है, ये बेटर पीनट बटर है, और बेटर पीनट बटर में पैसा नहीं लिया हूँ. So there are many startups which have helped out like that. So in the startup space, it's like that. The regulator ka space mein, I don't have any official capacity. Sometimes I've spoken to the child rights body here and there unofficially, but there is no official capacity. I just recently emailed the food body as well. I'm hoping to get into some advisory capacity if I can get into. There are a lot of comments which I get, or like the number one comment in my videos in the last 5-6 months is Foodpharmer for health minister. Please make him health minister. Please make him a part of the food board. I'm not trying to say, I'm not saying I should become health minister. My point is, I would love to be part of some way or form if I can advise the government or if I can be part of that process. Some people are saying, can you nominate Foodpharmer for Rajya Sabha? And obviously, I'm not trying to boast or my point is, I would love to be involved in some way or the other where I'm helping out in some way or the other, because I feel like we need people from different backgrounds. But yeah, I don't have any official capacity to do anything. I think online, on screen, I'm just representing the consumer voice.
How often do you do this? How often do you like make content? Like for me, this is like a once in a month activity.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting, frankly.
Yeah.
But given that you're now doing this full time,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about what your frequency, what is day in the life of a food farmer in terms of creation, distribution, team. People today are like talking about creators becoming big businessmen and great capitalists and so on. But tell me about in your field.
Yeah. First of all, in relation to creators and all, one thing I'll say, there are many people on the internet who have more followers and who are watched more than even many news channels. Like one individual is being watched by more by an entire news channel. So that is one thing which people should understand how big social media is.
Yeah.
Coming to me, the mistake or whatever I've made is that I'm a one-man team. So I literally work by myself. I do my own research. I do everything. Like I have one part-time video editor and that's it. And I also is living in like somewhere like 100-200 kilometers away from Lucknow. So it's not even like मैं खुद वीडियो में रिंग लाइट डालता हूँ और वो रिकॉर्ड करता हूँ, उसको भेजता हूँ, गूगल ड्राइव में अपलोड करता हूँ, उसको सबटाइटल लिखता हूँ और वो बोलता हूँ, फिर वो डालता है और वो करता है. तो इट्स अ वेरी वेरी लेबर इंटेंसिव वैसे मतलब जॉब की मैं सब कुछ वो कर रहा हूँ. उसको बोल रहा होता है 30 सेकंड्स में ये फोटो डालो, 55 सेकंड्स में ये वीडियो डालो, ये जोक डालो, ये फोटो डालो. So it's a very very personal thing. I make about 1 to 2 videos a week and only short, so like 1 minute video, like reel. So very short. And people tell me कि you should make 7 videos a week, like or 5 videos a week. But I'm like, मुझे जो अच्छा लगता है मैं वो करूँगा, मैं ना क्वालिटी हाई रखूँगा और मैं जब मेरे को कोई एक्चुअली इशू लग रहा है तब मैं बात करूँगा. मैं अगर हर दिन कैसे बात कर सकता हूँ? Only if I feel that something important will.
Dilutive if you do it a lot.
So I don't even honestly look at myself as a content creator or influencer. I get bucketed in that space a lot. Ki influencer, content creator. I just like social media, the medium I'm using. I will use any medium I want. I will use TV if I want, and earlier I was an author, which a lot of people don't know. I read in a book.
What did you write?
A book called Selfienomics.
Okay, what is that?
So it was a book which combined philosophy with comedy.
Okay.
Which is to some extent what I do in my videos as well. I sometimes add humor, not much, but sometimes I add humor. So it was a book which combined philosophy with humor. It had 11 chapters. The first chapter was life. The last chapter was death.
Wow.
And in between the 9 chapters were everything in between. So there was 1 chapter on religion, 1 chapter on health.
Okay.
And the health chapter, I wrote 10 years ago. The health chapter was entirely on nutrition label. So even 10 years ago, I had the same message as today कि लेबल पढ़ो, लेबल पढ़ो, लेबल पढ़ो. बस ये फ़र्क ये था कि बुक कोई पढ़ता नहीं है तो कोई 10 साल पहले मेरे को भाव नहीं दिया. इन सोशल मीडिया काफ़ी लोग यूज़ करते हैं तो अब मेरे को वो प्रोमिनेंस से इम्पोर्टेंस मिल गया है, बट उस समय नहीं मिला. तो बस वही डिफरेंस है. तो माई मैसेज हैज़ रिमेन्ड द सेम. माई मीडियम हैज़ चेंज्ड फ्रॉम बुक टू सोशल मीडिया. But the tagline and the word influencer sometimes cheapens you.
Talk about this. People don't like to be identified as, like for me also, for example, well, like, you're a creator. I'm like, no, yaar, this is what I do on the side. My actual purpose in life is to build a company, do other things, etc., etc. But for a lot of young people, becoming a creator is now clearly a career goal and aspiration. They love doing it. But why do you say cheapen? Why do you feel that?
The thing is, I don't have any problem. Okay, like ये नहीं है कि there's something wrong or something. The thing is, as long as you use social media, you are bucketed in the influence. Like the word influencer and creator is so broad कि अगर कोई pranks का वीडियो बना रहा है या कोई डांस वीडियो बना रहा है या कोई एक वो चीज़ कर रहा है या अगर कोई कंट्री को हेल्प कर रहा है कुछ कर रहा है, वो सब स्पेक्ट्रम में सभी इन्फ्लुएंसर हैं. एंड आप एक खाली एक मीडियम यूज़ कर रहे हो सोशल मीडिया का. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल मैं एग्जैक्ट सेम चीज़ करता ना और अगर मैं सपोज हाइपोथेटिकली कैडबरी के ऑफिस के बाहर करता ये वीडियो ये वीडियो नहीं बट सपोज मैं प्रोटेस्ट करता तो लोग मुझे बोलते क्या एक्टिविस्ट है. वो क्या है? वो आप टेक्निकली रोड में कर रहे हो, ये मैं स्क्रीन में कर रहा हूँ.
करेक्ट. उससे कर
सेम चीज है, खाली ये स्क्रीन, इसमें व्यूअर्स वैसे हैं. तो वो सब एक टर्म्स होते हैं. लाइक जर्नलिस्ट वर्ड सीरियसली लेते हैं.
करेक्ट.
इन्फ्लुएंसर थोड़ा सा जी वो खाली एक वो है. तो
परसेप्शन है.
हाँ, बट लाइक वो परसेप्शन मैटर करता है. टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, पब्लिक को वो टैगलाइन इन्फ्लुएंसर का हर एक वे में एक इन्फ्लुएंसर का एक लेवल, एक स्टेप डाउन होता है. लाइक एक्टर्स आर लुक्ड अपॉन स्लाइटली मोर one level higher, you're considered to be cooler, everything, even if the influencer has more reach. Same with TV actors and film actors. Even though TV actors, there are so many people in the OTT space, they have way wider reach, but their brand is not as big as a movie actor. Even if a movie actor का भी movie Netflix में release हो रहा है और उसका भी Netflix में आ रहा है, but एक tag आ जाता है ना,
movie versus TV.
Movie versus a, like for example, I'm taking names. Devyendu जो मिर्जापुर का है.
हाँ.
He did a massively hit show.
Boss, he's an insanely good actor also.
Exactly, but a Bollywood actor जिसका मूवी नेटफ्लिक्स में रिलीज हो रहा है, स्क्रीन में नहीं आ रहा है, बट बिकॉज वो मूवी है, their brand value is way higher than Devyendu. Like, you know, if you look at a B-level Bollywood actor even, their brand value is way higher. So that is just a public perception, and that is crazy.
Yeah. Tell me about your business. Like, you clearly are doing something for the public. I think public health, public safety, and you're right. I think if people are telling you to get into policy, I don't think they're wrong. I don't know whether Rajya Sabha is the right way to get into policy, but मुझे तो लगता है कि boss, FSSAI, regulator, even broadly companies who are doing like Mondelez, for example, like should tell you, hey, you know what? Honestly, why are you on the other side of the table? Come on this side. We would love for you to kind of help us create this stuff. This is the kind of stuff you should be doing because that will aid your.
I'm not anti-company or anything like that. All I am is pro-health. So अगर मैं Mondelez के साथ काम करूँ या मैं डाबर के साथ काम करूँ, चाहे आप मेरे को लीगल नोटिस भेजो और नहीं भेजो, I don't mind helping you out.
Yeah.
Like obviously I will always have the public's interest in like the first objective, but as long as I'm doing that, I don't mind helping you out. Of course, the path is it's very difficult for them. They are also, I think, afraid ki what if they reach out to me and I make a video? They don't know I'm a reasonable guy.
Yeah.
So, let's see what happens. And I'm not sure what I'll do next.
What's the monetization strategy? What? Because a lot of people want to be creators, influencers, but you're doing it in a very different way.
Yeah.
But what's your reach now across all channels? YouTube, Instagram, etc.
So, I have, across all channels, I have 4 million followers. But in terms of reach, it's about 2.5 crore people per month.
25 million people a month.
And it's crazy.
I'm seeing your stuff.
And I do not know about TV channels where I sometimes come in and that's a separate thing. WhatsApp में क्या share हो रहा है वो सब idea नहीं है. मतलब वो खाली मैं YouTube का figure और Instagram का figure और LinkedIn का figure बता रहा हूँ और Twitter का.
Which is the biggest one for you?
For me, it's Instagram. I am slightly weak on YouTube and India YouTube is big. I'm trying to now focus on YouTube, but यार लॉन्ग फॉर्म के लिए बहुत टाइम एंड एफर्ट चाहिए, एक टीम चाहिए. अभी मैं अकेला ही कर रहा हूँ तो मेरे को टीम बिल्ड करना होगा. तो लॉन्ग फॉर्म वीडियो अकेला बहुत डिफिकल्ट है मैनेज करना.
Understood.
हाँ, but मैं the next goal is to try to understand YouTube. So yeah, I mean besides the videos, I think a lot of time goes in just setting up stuff कि कोई मैं मीट कर रहा हूँ किसी को, कोई मेरे को बोल रहा है, जर्नलिस्ट कोई बोल रहा है टीवी में ये इंटरव्यू करो, कोई मेरे को बोल रहा है कि ये इवेंट में बात करो. रिसेंटली मैं कुछ इवेंट स्कूल्स में बात करता हूँ, मैं NGOs में बात करता हूँ. मैं रिसेंटली एक हेल्थ स्कूल चालू किया. आई डोंट नो इफ यू नो, बट लाइक यू नो माई एंटायर थिंग इज हम स्कूल में हिस्ट्री पढ़ते हैं, जोग्राफी पढ़ते हैं, इंटीग्रेशन पढ़ते हैं, डिफ्रेंसिएशन पढ़ते हैं, हेल्थ नहीं पढ़ते,
करेक्ट,
न्यूट्रिशन नहीं पढ़ते. माई एंटायर थीसिस वाज क्योंकि हम स्कूल में हेल्थ नहीं पढ़ते, क्यों ना मैं हेल्थ स्कूल चालू करता हूँ.
करेक्ट.
So I am teaching a class. I just have done it once. Label सीखेगा India.
I saw that was a campaign also, right?
Yeah, so label पढ़ेगा India.
Okay.
This is the part 2 of it. Label सीखेगा India.
Okay.
Where I'm teaching people a nutrition master class, like, you know, and it's a beautiful thing. So I'm teaching people how to read labels, and at the same time we're also giving money to feed underprivileged children.
Okay.
And I'm doing a social experiment So I am letting the users decide the price. So there are 3-4 different price, 1,000 rupees, 500 rupees, 350 rupees, or free, just scholarship. And आप decide करो आपको कितना देना है. And I have also given कि if you do 1,000 rupees, I will donate 15 meals to the poor.
Okay.
If you do 500 rupees, I'll donate X amount of meals. So you are learning about food and simultaneously you are feeding food.
Correct.
So it's like the win-win-win across. That's why I call it conscious capitalism, ki social benefit plus I'm making money.
What is the highest chosen price point?
So the highest chosen, the 50% of people chose 350.
Okay.
30% of people chose 1,000.
1,000. Yeah, I can imagine.
And 20% of people chose 500. So 30% also, sorry, even 1,000 rupees got a decent self log choose karne mein, it's a very decent amount. So I was very, very happy to see those numbers. So that was very, very inspiring. And so one monetization scope is health school.
Yeah, education, yeah.
Education. And I will not only do it myself, I'll try to rope in diabetes doctors, sleep doctors, and I'll try to make them build courses and I will try to, put them a part of the health school. So that is one monetization scope. I get approached every single day to start a packaged food of my own.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah, every single day. Every single day.
Who's approaching you? Investors?
Investors, already startups, food startups. Like any food startup, probably many of them have been here on this chair as well. In this podcast as well. Like, कोई भी जो ये space में है, they reach out कि why not start a brand, Foodpharmer together. And every major VC you've heard of has reached out to me. And things like that, and a lot of individuals and all as well. I am not sure. I may do it, I may not do it. I am very unsure. कि food business is very difficult. And मैं अगर प्योरली 100% जेन्युइन इंटरेस्ट के साथ करूँ ना कि मेरे को सब कुछ क्लीन रखना है, बट अगर मेरे फूड में कुछ गलत आ गया ना, वो मेरे को फियर है कि वो एक बाय चांस में अगर 1 लाख प्रोडक्ट बेच रहे हैं और एक में मस्कीटो निकल गया, कुछ इंसेक्ट निकल गया, लोग उसको बड़ा न्यूज़ बना के मेरा
तो स्क्रूटिनी विल बी 1000x फॉर योर बिजनेस.
हाँ, सो आई एम वरीड अबाउट दीज थिंग्स कि पीपल में लाइक थोड़ा इंटेंशंस को क्वेश्चन करेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे. आई एम वरीड अबाउट दोस थिंग्स. आई एम ऑल्सो वरीड कि विल द कंपनीज sort of try to get back at me in some way or form कि मेरा कोई प्रोडक्ट में कुछ मिला दो like ट्रू ये इसका ब्रांड वो करने. तो आई एम थोड़ा वरीड कि शुड आई डू इट और नॉट. आई विल इनफैक्ट probably run a poll on my Instagram कि should I start a business. I actually make crazy decision like this कि मैं पब्लिक को पूछ लेता हूँ कि तुमको क्या लगना चाहिए, मैं क्या करना चाहिए. अगर if there's a very decent split कि if 75-80% more people are saying one thing, I'll do it. Like,
oh really?
Like I have done that in the past as well. कि I asked the public, should I do ads or not? Should I do this or not? And like people are also reasonable, I feel. And yeah.
Yeah, I think democracy shows that people are broadly reasonable. We trust the biggest decisions to consensus. So I can imagine why you're doing that. But for now, I think monetization is a small part because I want to struggle with this, right? Because when you have so much public interest at heart, now making money just seems like something that will not align with the incentives of what you're doing at a large level.
There are two things.
It's like you were selling a video for brands. Ki chalo, I will, because at some point the public is smart. They'll realize ki, okay, what we don't know, maybe Foodpharmer is incentivized to say something good about this brand or something bad about that.
So only I know, जितना मैं पैसा को मना किया हूँ ना, मैं exaggerate या boast नहीं कर रहा हूँ.
I'm sure I can imagine.
जितना मैं पैसा को मना किया हूँ, probably बहुत लोग अपना लाइफ टाइम में उतना कमाते नहीं हैं जितना मैं मना किया हूँ लास्ट 1 साल में.
Are you serious?
इतने सारे ब्रांड डील्स की ऑफरिंग crores of rupees literally. I'm not exaggerating when I use the word crores. For a 1-year contract, not for one video. But so many brands have reached out, biggest of brands ki promote my product, do this, do that. And I have said no to everything. It's not that
you're protecting that influence for, I'm assuming, like a bigger thing in the future. You're building it.
I am also very scared. I am very scared. Not that I'm protecting it. To some extent, yes. But I am very scared कि what if I make a mistake? But the public is very kind to me. Like, I've not done any food deals or anything, but I put up a public post that should I do brand deals? Should I promote clean food brand? That's what I asked.
That I believe in.
And I believe in. 80% of people said yes. अभी तक मैं किया नहीं हो वो अलग बात है, but 80% of my audience said yes कि clean food brand है, people want alternatives.
Yeah.
Like people
Yeah, you cannot keep saying कि ये गलत है, ये गलत है. क्या सही है वो भी बोलना पड़ेगा.
Exactly. So people I think are also reasonable कि यार अगर तुमको भी कमाना ही है and you would rather make money cleanly than take money under the table and do shady stuff.
Yeah.
So I think people are reasonable कि यार clean चीज बोल रहे हो तो ठीक है यार, कोई issue नहीं है. So I am currently, my next 6 months goal is to try to find companies which align with my values and ideally not in the food space because food space is slightly tricky. कि मेरा थोड़ा brand का, although the food companies are willing to pay me the most, but if I can find companies which are outside of food, like suppose a gym कोई company, which is fitness, health, इसमें कोई conflict नहीं है. Or like some company which is completely non-controversial. Like those are companies which I'm ideally trying to partner with. Food space में I'm still conflicted करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए.
Good point. But you know what? You should use your style. I am getting into advice mode, which I should not, but this the idea that comes to my mind is people love you for being honest. So let's say you make a deal with, today we're releasing an episode on food, building a food company in India. Shashank is there from The Whole Truth. So Shashank is like, hey, I'm recommending this Whole Truth bar because I believe that it is clean for whatever reasons, and this is a paid deal. I also need to make money, and I believe in this. That's why I'm doing it. Here are 10 brands I've said no to, and the way I will get monetized is for every view that you guys give me, Shashank and the brand is going to pay me X, right? And you'll be surprised. I won't be surprised if the public is like, oh, this is really cool.
No, I think you're right. You're right, and I have so far done one deal. So I on my YouTube it's out. I did it with Urban Company.
Oh, really? These guys? Yeah.
And so I told the Urban Company only one thing कि अगर मैं वीडियो करूँगा मैं
क्या था आपका वीडियो उनका?
वाटर प्यूरिफायर के ऊपर था. तो मैं उनको खाली बोला था एक कि मैं वही प्रोडक्ट प्रमोट करूंगा जो मैं खुद यूज़ कर सकता हूँ या मेरे फैमिली को यूज़ करूँगा. आई एम कंफर्टेबल यूजिंग इट एंड मैं खुद ट्रायल करूँगा. तो सबसे पहले मैं वो वाटर प्यूरिफायर उन लोग मेरे घर में भेजे, मैं 3 महीना यूज़ किया. फिर मैं ये भी बोला कि मैं तभी प्रमोट करूँगा अगर आप मेरे को फुल छूट दो कि मैं जो मन में आऊँगा मैं बोलूँगा, खाली पॉजिटिव चीज़ बोलूँगा तब नहीं करूँगा. सो ऑन माई यूट्यूब देयर इज अ वीडियो. I have said whatever I said about urban companies, water purifier, but I also said the negative aspect as well. And it's a paid deal. But still I also said the negative things. So that was the...
That's amazing. That is amazing.
So that is, I think, and the comment section, if you see, people loved it. People are like, this is the best ever ad I have seen. Because this is the first time I felt like, I'm not getting sold something. I've been... Like, someone who's like, my side is talking, not the company side. So they are like viewing me कि मैं customer के perspective से बोल रहा हूँ, rather than एक company वाला आके आपको बेच रहा product. So in fact, there were some comments as well कि 90s 2000 में एक टाइप के ad होते थे, फिर last 5 साल में क्रेड चालू किया एक अपना एक अलग स्टाइल का ही. And then they were like, can this become a new style of ads where it's 100% transparent ads? So can this become the new... Like after cred, can this become the new style of advertisement? Wow. So I am very bullish that more and more companies, as long as you're fine with me saying both sides of the story.
Whatever you feel, honestly.
जो मैं honestly बोलना मैं बोलूँगा. As long as you're fine with that, I am going to be willing to do it.
Wow. And you think there are takers for this? Like I'm sure there will be.
So I think the bigger companies will be scared.
Because brand managers don't want to go off script. Forget about saying something negative about their brand. It will take a lot for them to do something like this.
But I am hoping that more startup type companies, like urban companies, I think in the middle, they're not old school, but they're still relatively big.
Very new, yeah. New but big, yeah.
New but big. So I feel that level companies now.
They'll take risk, yeah.
Even like, for example, Bombay Shaving Company, for example, I think y'all are also new but relatively big.
Yeah.
So I feel this category of companies which are new, startup-ish, but they're still big.
Yeah.
I think these companies may take the risky, chalo, let's do something creative.
How did it feel to be a one-person organization? Because you're clearly having impact which is organizational, right?
So it's crazy. And again, people don't realize this. So many people ask me, are you doing this part-time? Literally, 2.5 crore ka reach per month. Annual karo. It is like more than 10-20 crore people in a year.
Yeah.
My point is, news channel वाले लोग जिसका 100 एम्प्लॉय होते हैं, उतना रीच पूरे 100 एम्प्लॉय लोग का मिला के वो नहीं होता.
24/7 न्यूज करते हैं.
हाँ. और उन लोग को लोग नहीं बोलते हैं आप पार्ट टाइम कर रहे हो या नहीं. मैं एक इंडिविजुअल अकेला इतना रीच है और मेरे को बोलते हैं आप पार्ट टाइम कर रहे हो नहीं कर रहे. सो इट इज गुड, इट इज एम्पावरिंग, बट इट्स ऑल्सो चैलेंजिंग बिकॉज so much which happens behind the scenes. कभी कोई इंटरनेशनल कोई मेरे को न्यूट्रिशन बॉडी रीच आउट करता है, कभी कोई यूएन का कोई रीच आउट किया कि हम लोग फूड में कुछ कर रहे हैं इंडिया के साथ. टुडे आई वेंट टू यूएस एम्बेसी. यूएस एम्बेसी इज ट्राइंग टू डू समथिंग.
Really?
मतलब I cannot tell you how big certain things can become, and everything I am replying to emails. I am coordinating my schedule. For example, for this podcast, I am coordinating everything. It's not that anyone is doing it on my behalf.
Correct.
So, it's a lot which happens behind the scenes, which is very difficult to manage. Criticism, you see the comments yourself, you reply yourself, you do everything yourself. Label Padhega India, you know.
Yeah. How did you do that, yaar? There was music, there was production, there was...
मेरा जो वो वीडियो में, sorry, like फटा है. Like... it released 1.5 months ago.
Okay.
I made that 1 year ago. And that time, I was 1.5 months into this. Like, April I started, April 2023, I made the Born Beta video. May I decided that I'm going to do Label Padhega India. Within 1 month. And that time I had only 1 lakh followers. You will be knowing this, and to the public as well, I want to say, public को लगता है ना 1 lakh followers बहुत होता है.
No.
लेकिन 1 लाख फॉलोअर्स में आपको कोई इज्जत नहीं देता है इन द इन्फ्लुएंसर वर्ल्ड. सो आई हैड डिसाइडेड लेबल पड़ेगा इंडिया देन. एंड देन इफ यू सी इन माई वीडियो देयर आर मेनी सेलिब्रिटीज. सो देयर इज दिनेश कार्तिक, अर्चना पूरन सिंह, अंकुर वारिकू, अंकित बयापुरिया, मेनी पीपल ऑन इन माई लेबल पड़ेगा इंडिया वीडियो. लास्ट ईयर व्हेन आई हैड ओनली 1 lakh followers, 2 lakh followers, टू गेट दीज पीपल, मेरे को खाली पता है कितना मुश्किल था. मैं हर एक जन को, मैं आई हैव ईमेल्ड मोर देन 100 पीपल विथ अ पर्सनल वीडियो कि हे अंकुर वारिकू, कैन यू प्लीज डू दिस फॉर मी. हे अर्चना पूरन सिंह मैम, पर्सनल वीडियो. हे आशीष चंचलानी, हे दिस पर्सन, हे दैट पर्सन, आप प्लीज़ के लिए मेरे लिए वीडियो बना सकते हो कि आपको बस एक चीज़ करना है, लेबल पड़ेगा इंडिया बोलना है. ऐसे मैं 100 लोग को ईमेल किया हूँ, DM किया हूँ इंस्टा में करके. फिर मेरे को 30 पीपल आए. एंड
who the first one who said yes?
Archana Puran Singh.
Wow.
And she is also one of the biggest people in this entire list.
Correct.
And when she said yes, then I used her name. Archana Puran Singh has said yes. So then second person was Ankur Warikoo. Ankur Warikoo is also a very nice guy.
Yeah, you've been on the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice guy. He was कि मैं उनको एक बार बोला, हाँ कर दिया, और मेरे को एक पर्सनल ईमेल, एक पर्सनल वीडियो मैसेज भेजे कि of course I'll do it for you. Then the third person did it, the fourth person did it. And then I got a lot of people. एक cycle बन जाता है ना. I still did not get many people. I have emailed many very big people, like many times. And लोग बोलते थे करेंगे फिर नहीं किए. But I was still very happy. तो मुझे पता है कि मैं कितना फॉलो अप किया हूँ हर एक जन से. और फिर मैं 15-20 रैपर से बात किया. मैं खुद लिरिक्स लिखा. फिर वो रैपर लिरिक्स चेंज किया. बहुत कुछ हम लोग ने किया ऐसे करके. शूट भी खुद किया. ये पूरे चीज़ में वी स्पेंड barely 30,000 to 50,000 रुपीज़, विच इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कि वो म्यूज़िक का राइट्स करना, ये करना, वो करना, अपलोड, मतलब 1000 चीज़ें सब खुद फिगर आउट किया. पहले हम लोग का था लेबल पड़ेगा इंडिया. वी शॉट दैट वीडियो, वी शॉट एवरीथिंग. 2-3 months later सडनली द गवर्नमेंट सेड, सडनली द न्यूज़ में आने लग गया कि इंडिया के बदले चेंज होकर भारत हो जाएगा नाम. मेरा फट गया कि मैं सब कुछ बना लिया हूँ, वीडियो लेबल पड़ेगा इंडिया, अब सडनली टाइड हो रहा है कि पीपल वर बिग एंटी इंडिया हो गया था कि यू शुड यूज भारत. तो फिर मैं एक नया वो शूट किया, उसमें एक जन वन पर्सन वाज होल्डिंग द पोस्टर, लेबल पड़ेगा इंडिया, वन मोर पर्सन वाज लेबल पड़ेगा भारत, एंड आई वाज इन द मिडल, ताकि कुछ कंट्रोवर्शियल नहीं हो. आई जस्ट वांट द मैसेज टू गेट स्प्रेड. एंड देन वी वर लाइक, पीपल वर नॉट दैट stuck to that thing, so people were like, ठीक है यार, इंडिया भारत like it's not very. So I कितना कुछ I had to deal, and behind the scenes only I know how difficult it was to execute, but yeah, it was very like I'm very happy I did it though.
What are the impact of label Padhega in India? How did it scale? What is the response? Government clearly has spoken about, but what is the response at a consumer level?
Yeah, so I think I posted about this also. There were many news articles that said that this is the second biggest consumer awareness campaign after Jago Grahak Jago.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and Jago Grahak Jago is a government initiative. So from a purely individual capacity, it's probably one of the biggest consumer awareness campaigns. And I've seen thousands of videos of startups making videos, of consumers making videos on Label Padhega India, using that music. There are some radios which have been playing the music. And it's that word Label Padhega India is caught on, the hashtag, and it's gone beyond food. So a lot of people in the beauty space, shampoos, यार वो एलोवेरा डालते नहीं डालते किसी को नहीं पता, नीम डालते नहीं डालते हैं, वो किसी को आंवला डालते हैं या नहीं डालते हैं,
एक्सट्रैक्ट होता है वो कभी मोस्टली तो
हाँ, कि और फ्रेग्रेंस एक्सट्रैक्ट वही सब होता है.
करेक्ट.
कि और वो कितना % होता है एक्सट्रैक्ट का भी वो नहीं पता. तो वो लेबल पड़ेगा इंडिया हैज गॉन बियॉन्ड फूड. इनफैक्ट कोई इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी में भी बोल रहा था कि इंश्योरेंस का टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस पड़ेगा इंडिया, एंड लाइक इट्स गॉन बियॉन्ड. इनफैक्ट देयर सम पीपल हु वर टेलिंग मी कि वी नीड अ फूड फार्मर इन एवरी इंडस्ट्री. We need someone in the insurance space to fight against that. We'll need someone in the clothing space. We'll need someone in the meat space कि ये खाना ethically source हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है. So we need a food farmer type का person, like, you know, who's both business minded and activist in nature, like both the blend of that. Because some people who are purely activists, they are like two on one end. They don't understand business at all.
Yeah.
And there are some people who are purely business. They are like, they just, यार पैसा जब तक बन रहा है कोई मतलब नहीं है. You need a bit of both, I feel.
How difficult is this on a day-to-day basis? Like, do you at any point feel like you have a lot of fuel in the tank? Sometimes you're like, fuck, this is not worth it at all. I think it's difficult to, like, I think being in the public eye, especially in your kind of field where there is legal notice, there's that stress, I'm sure you must be questioning this decision often, or are you like boss, impact is totally worth it, बाकी सब छोड़ो.
Impact is worth it. फैमिली सब में थोड़ा इशू होता है. लाइक रिसेंटली मेरे को एक लीगल नोटिस आया था जो कोर्ट केस वो सब हुआ, और इनफैक्ट कल भी मेरा अभी चेन्नई में कुछ चल रहा है. तो वो सब फैमिली ना, जब अच्छा दिन होता है सपोर्ट करता है, जब खराब दिन होता है तो फिर बोलता है तो क्या कर रहा है. तो वो सब बहुत थोड़ा वो है. एंड मोनेटाइजेशन बोलना आसान है दूर से कि हाँ यार सब चलता है एज लॉन्ग एज इम्पैक्ट है. But eventually, even you have personal ambitions. You want to buy a house. You want to do certain things. You want to buy a car. You don't want to always Uber it everywhere and things like that. You have personal ambitions as well. So those things also play at your mind. And I, for example...
And for you, like, you moved from the US, you're in McKinsey.
Yeah.
Opportunity cost is real.
Opportunity cost is so large.
And you're saying no to brand deals. So there is opportunity cost on either side.
Every
in the
side.
field also, outside the field also.
Exactly. So just on LinkedIn yesterday, I saw all my McKinsey friends. Just yesterday they were getting promoted. Yeah. So a lot of my friends started posting associate partner at McKinsey. So you see that thing that they are making 3, 4, 5 crores every year. All my friends in the US. Some are at Google, some are at all the biggest companies. So of course you feel that, like, you know, there's a people posting from business class, EAO, and you feel that, like, you know, and in a personal side also it affects you sometimes. But there is the positive side, which is very massive. There's like, I've got comments and emails that someone named their child Revant. God, like they were so inspired by what work I was doing.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So there's so much of positivity that also is very fueling. But it is difficult. Sometimes when you become big in some ways, you also get, although I have very low percentage of haters, but sometimes you get that as well.
Yeah.
So it is tricky, and I'm also very scared कि by chance मैं कुछ गलत बोला, even if my intention is correct, will people doubt my credibility if I try to monetize? And even if my intention is correct, and if I monetize a food product, suppose मैं बोल दिया ये अच्छा है, और वो बाय चांस उतना अच्छा नहीं है, तो मेरा credibility क्या पूरा वो हो जाएगा, तो उससे थोड़ा fear रहता है. But देखो क्या होता है.
You, Revant, throughout this conversation multiple times, you have actually been very open about the fact that it is oftentimes a state of fear. Ki, what if I start a company and my product is not good and my reputation will go for a toss? Or what if I monetize a good food product but something happens and it's not good? Or what if my monetization strategy itself fails? Like there are 3-4 times in this conversation itself where fear as a emotion has come up a lot. Is that reflective of the kind of work you do? Like the cost of the work you do for you personally?
Yeah, so
there will always be fear
100% because everything I'm doing is based on trust
and reputation.
So there are some people who've, like in the creator space as well, people love them and they don't expect anything from them. Like they don't expect anything moral from them.
Like who, for example?
नेम नहीं लूँगा, बट कोई बहुत सारे फैशन इन्फ्लुएंसर्स जो होते हैं ये वो, अब वो लेस बेच रहे हैं कि जो भी बेच रहे हैं कोई उनको जज नहीं कर रहे. दे आर स्टिल गोना बी लाइक, ओ माय फेवरेट इन्फ्लुएंसर इज दिस XYZ पर्सन. जो कॉमेडी क्रिएटर्स होते हैं, सो उनमें कोई वो नहीं है. पीपल लव देम एंड देन लेफ्ट राइट एंड सेंटर आर सेलिंग सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक्स, कुछ भी माउंटेन ड्यू, ये वो कुछ भी बेच रहे हैं. एंड they have a huge fan base. My entire thing is revolving around trust. And I am genuinely trying to do everything with a positive intention. But I am afraid sometimes that, if I make a genuine mistake, will I be viewed in a...
How forgiving will your audience be?
हाँ, बोलना आसान है क्योंकि मैं अभी तक मोनेटाइज बहुत कम किया हूँ. एसेंशियली एक को अर्बन कंपनी किया हूँ और ये सब. बट लाइक अगर मैं थोड़ा और उसको करूँ और मैं कुछ करूँ तो कैसा होगा वो नहीं पता.
क्या टाइट रोप यू हैव टू वॉक, नो?
हाँ, बहुत लाइक. एंड कोई भी चीज़ में प्रोज एंड कॉन्स होते हैं. एंड फूड स्पेस में ना सबका अलग फिलॉसफी है. कोई बोलेगा पानी को लेके ही, कोई बोलेगा 3 लीटर पीना चाहिए, कोई बोलेगा जब तुम थर्स्टी हो तभी पियो, कोई बोलेगा 8 ग्लास पियो, कोई बोलेगा समर में ज़्यादा पियो, विंटर में कम पियो. मतलब हर एक चीज़ में फिलॉसफी है. कोई बोलेगा डाइट कोक बेटर है, कोई बोलेगा रेगुलर कोक बेटर है, कोई बोलेगा ये बेटर है. मतलब हर एक में.
Medical community does not have consensus on this.
No one. You will get the 2 best doctors on board. लोग बोलते हैं डॉक्टर को सब कुछ पता है. 2 बेस्ट डॉक्टर को लाओगे,
अलग चीजें बोलेंगे,
वो दोनों अलग चीज बोलेंगे. कि कोई बोलेगा ये अच्छा है, कोई बोलेगा वो अच्छा है. एंड दोनों बहुत क्वालिफाइड है. दोनों मतलब बहुत रेप्यूटेड है. दोनों के बहुत एक्सपीरियंस्ड है. 20 साल से पेशेंट्स को ट्रीट कर रहे हैं. दोनों ऑपोजिट चीज बोलेंगे. तो इतना होता है ऐसे. एंड आप कुछ भी बोलोगे, आप पब्लिक आपको बोलेगे नहीं ये ऐसे नहीं ऐसे होता है. और फूड में सब लोग को लगता है सब लोग एक्सपर्ट है.
करेक्ट.
Everyone thinks they are expert.
So they eat 3 times a day.
They eat 3 times a day, so they feel they are expert. And if it works for them personally, they feel it works for everyone. They don't realize that everyone's body is different.
Very different, correct.
And just because it worked on you does not mean it works on everyone. Like कोई बोलता है meat is good for your body, कोई बोलता है meat is bad for your body. कोई बोलता है ये अच्छा है वो अच्छा है. It's very tricky.
Wow. I agree with you. I think it's hard in food, specifically food. I think beauty, personal care, apparel, even meat, etc. or agriculture, you can broadly measure it. But packaged food impact on, because it's gone through a process, bodies are different, sugar tolerances are different, etc. It becomes very difficult to standardize what is the right thing as even a consumer or regulator or anyone.
Yeah.
How much longer do you think you can do this? Like, do you think that this is a way of life where you're going to say, okay, let me break this down, because it's very fascinating, Revant, right? You're saying, gave up a consulting job, came to India, one huge trigger point, you became the voice of trust, clearly had impact. You've shaken up foundations, you're clearly impacting how food companies in India will behave themselves. Consumers trust you. We're operating from a large space of A, impact, and B, fear, because reputation and trust can go away instantaneously. your monetization opportunities are many, but any path you take there, you feel could be could be a dead end very quickly.
Yeah.
Right? So, and you have ambitions. You want almost everyone does, and you clearly you have earned a good life. How are you going to change this purposeful existence into purposeful plus monetized career for you? If it's not going to be entrepreneur, I think entrepreneurship would have been the natural path in my view, like to build something in the food space, whatever the risk may be. I think VCs reaching out to you are absolutely fair. If you are able to raise some capital, building a brand is a great idea. But if not that, how will you convert this journey into something which is meaningful?
First of all, in a purely philosophical level, and I had written this in my book 10 years ago, I feel money should be value. Money is value, and the more value you provide to the world, I feel you should be paid the most.
Correct.
And people don't feel that way often. They they get pissed off when they don't want certain types of people to make money. They don't like कोई भी activist type of person to make money. They don't like politicians making money. They want politicians to travel economy class.
Correct.
And there are certain things, but I feel the more impact you have, the more money you should make.
Correct.
And you should incentivize smart and hardworking people to choose those careers which have money. And you should try to put money in there. So that is one thing. So
That's a very interesting point of view. You're right. I genuinely, my father says this always, that MLAs, MPs should have 3 crore salaries.
Automatically, I feel DU jao, IIT jao, IIM jao, the best positions like in the government should be recruiting there.
Correct.
And best, highest impact people should be recruiting from there. So then only will your country kind of change.
Correct.
So I also believe from a personal standpoint, अगर मैं बहुत करोड़ों लोग में वैल्यू लाया और मैं अगर थोड़ा भी उनके लिए चार्ज किया, सपोज मैं करोड़ लोग के लिए 10 यूनिट्स ऑफ वैल्यू लाया और मैं 1 यूनिट वैल्यू चार्ज किया उसका, मैं 10 वैल्यू आपको ऐड कर रहा हूँ, कोई 10 यूनिट 1 यूनिट चार्ज कर रहा हूँ, तो मैं वो भी बहुत हो जाएगा क्योंकि मैं इतने करोड़ों लोग को कर रहा हूँ.
करेक्ट.
So I genuinely believe you add a lot of value to someone, you will eventually make money as well.
Correct.
That is from a philosophical lens. From a more practical, if I actually break it down, I think there are many opportunities to make money. Once again, maybe clean packaged food if it clicks and if it goes well.
You should do it, by the way, man. I know we spoke about it, but you absolutely should do it. There's massive opportunity there. You will show the way for hundreds of other companies on how it needs to be done. I think your starting point is so different from if I were to start a clean packaged food brand, I'll be nothing. But your starting point, because of influence and intelligence and knowledge, is so much ahead.
No, of course.
You should do it.
Okay.
That's one option. Okay, what else?
Okay, yeah. I think health school is one more option.
Yeah.
So that is, again, one is me teaching myself, but if I get doctors, nutritionists on board, and also this can be done internationally, which people don't realize. Packaged food का issue US में भी है, यूरोप में भी है, वहाँ पर भी आप सेम चीज़ बेच सकते हो.
Correct.
और वहाँ के लोग एम्प्लॉय कर सकते हो, वहाँ के इंटरनेशनल डॉक्टर्स ला सकते हो और वहाँ कर सकते हो. तो देर आर वेज लाइक दैट टू मोनेटाइज. एंड आई थिंक कि इन्फ्लुएंसर वर्ल्ड में भी ब्रांड डील्स अगर मैं करूँ तो उसमें भी देर इज इनफ स्कोप. इट्स नॉट it's not like you're going to create the next Bombay shaving company or like some big unicorn or anything like that, but you can get a very good lifestyle through influence.
100%.
Yeah.
But because you are on trust, and that edifice of trust, you don't want to dilute it with money.
So that is
that's the issue.
Like the thing is that if someone else is doing 50 deals, which many influencers are, because one-off deals आते रहते हैं, I'll do probably 5 deals, but still, yeah. So let's see. I mean, there are enough ways to monetize, I feel, and I think I've only just begun in this space. It's just been 15 months, and I've been working alone. Now, if I have a team of 5 people who will manage YouTube and who will manage Instagram, I can potentially scale way more. In fact, my ambition is to scale way higher in terms of trying to impact way more number of people. Abhi tak I feel still tier 1 and tier 2 is watching me. Tier 3, tier 4 is not watching me yet. जो वो पूरा जो YouTube का audience है ना, जो पूरा Hindi audience which is following all the comedy creators and things like that. I've still not got there yet fully.
But your videos are also in Hindi in a large.
Yeah. So I pivoted from English to Hindi. Earlier it was full English कि मैं US से आया हूँ यहाँ तो naturally you just talk in English. Then I changed to Hindi and thankfully मैं आपको एक interesting चीज़ बताता हूँ. मैं 13 years India के बाहर रहा हूँ. Like
I cannot make out on the way you talk, by the way.
Exactly.
I cannot make out. First of all, you look very young.
हाँ.
So when did you go to the? Did you go as a school child or what?
No,
you went for college?
Yeah, I went when I was 18.
Wow. No, you don't look like someone who's 31, 32 years old at all. You look much younger.
Yeah.
Plus your accent and your diction is completely local.
Exactly. So right now you are saying that in sort of positive tone, it seems like.
Yeah, very positive.
Yeah. But the 13 years I was living abroad, it was not the case. I have been made fun of so many times for my Indian accent. Because when you are living 13 years abroad, a lot of my friends are, from here and there. You are asked कि भाई तू 13 साल से यहाँ है तो क्यों ऐसा टोन में बात कर रहा है? In your jobs, it affects, because everyone else is talking in an American or an accent or something like that. So थोड़ा एक वो हो जाता है, you turn suddenly someone's talking in a full-on Indian accent. Then slightly there is a connotation around it.
You never changed?
No. If I talk to anyone, it's always this. And I'm not saying it in a proud way or anything like that. People have their own, it's fine. I'm wearing jeans and t-shirt, which may or may not, again, I'm not wearing a kurta pajama or anything. Like, everyone has their own style. I'm not saying that anything ki ye karo, wo karo, but I've only spoken in Indian, this accent. Ab mera 7-8 saal purana video bhi dekhoge, and I'm talking to an American audience. There are some videos on YouTube which are there. Is this accent? I've never ever changed the accent.
That's incredibly self-assuring, by the way.
But when you are in the US, it sometimes affects you. And even things like people have told me that if you want to make friends from American friends, if you want to make female friends, if you talk in an Indian accent to someone, a white person abroad, they will have a little bit more of a stigma compared to if you were completely talking in the same accent as theirs. But I have never changed. But that is a personal choice. I just cannot do that. Maybe at some point I change, but I just at this point cannot.
A lot of my friends.
And sorry, one last thing. And all these years, it was somewhat of a weakness. Somewhat in the public's eyes. Today, it is one of my biggest strengths.
Yes.
Because hypothetically, if I was talking in a completely American accent, यार connect नहीं कर पाते audience में से.
Correct.
अगर मोहन भार्गव अमेरिकन एक्सेंट में बात करेगा तो वो वाइब नहीं आएगा स्वदेश का.
करेक्ट.
मैं भी थैंकफुली आई हैव बीन टॉकिंग जो मैं जैसे बात करता हूँ वैसे.
हाँ, but I don't see any difference in you here versus you on the screen. It's the same human being.
Exactly. Anyway, sorry,
you're a lot taller than you look in your video. That's
not because of Bonvita though.
No, but you're right. Even so, for example, even when I go to the US, and I've lived there for many years, but I had a thick American accent when I came back to India. As a child, when you're growing up, that's all you know, right? You don't know, so I had a thick American accent, came back, and then I never had one. My brother now lived in the US for 14 years, right? My brother his accent is completely unchanged. When he's talking to me, my mom, anyone at home, anyone who's even remotely Indian in the US system, when he's teaching a class where the students are American, he speaks in an American accent. Because he's like, yeah, I'm teaching a class, it's easier, people don't ask multiple times to repeat, etc. It's easier. So he gets the American accent. When he's ordering a Starbucks, he'll use the American accent. But when he's here, so I've seen a lot of people do this, but when I go to the US, I'm very conscious of the fact that my skin is brown. I don't feel fully at home there. And you're right, I see a lot of people from India who have lived there long enough, whose food habits change because they want to kind of amalgamate into the culture, whose talking habits change, whose lifestyles change. But for you to stay there for 13 years, work in companies which are as American as McKinsey is a global firm, but I can imagine a McKinsey North America office being North American fully. The partnership is North American, the clients are North American, etc. But to talk like this in a client meeting in the US will be hats off, man.
Thank you. Honestly, it is not easy because, again, as you said, McKinsey, when you're talking to some very big
Senior
shot
guy.
CEO, it professionally helps to talk in an accent.
Correct.
But it's just a personal choice that you're not. So it does matter. And not only accent, in every other way also. The reason why I'm able to connect to the audience today is because I use Indian references. तो मैं कभी कुछ Bollywood का joke डाल देता हूँ, कभी I'm talking about a very serious topic, but मैं कुछ एक humor डाल दूँगा.
Correct.
And that is because I still stayed connected to whatever is happening in India. In spite of living my entire adult life abroad. So that has also been a very big advantage that I've not let go of whatever was happening here, because if I had not, I would not have been able to connect.
Here, I think I find you to be a truly authentic human being. I was just like in the break also saying the same thing. I'm continuing that train of thought. That people who are in front of cameras a lot, people who are, in the public eye a lot, like you, they are very different on camera and very different. They're sometimes more reserved. Sometimes they're very different in personality. Sometimes they appear really nice and are actually, kind of caustic human beings. But you are exactly the same person. Like, you smile the same, you have the same enthusiasm in a conversation like this. You are truly passionate and बहुत ही देसी आदमी हो यार आप बताओ. मेरे को like I did not realize कि आप 13 साल वहाँ पे रहे. आप I can imagine being in the US for 13 years in environments like the ones which you may have been, like very competitive, alpha type people all over the place, right? Everyone is being judged all the time. And वहाँ पे दोस्ती नहीं बनती है like ठीक से. Like I don't think जैसे इंडिया में बनती है, I don't think that happens in the US as much. People are much more individual in nature and kind of like boundaries and all of that stuff, right? So for you to retain your Indianness, your sense of who you are, stay in touch with our country over the last 13 years, in 13 amazing years. We have won 2 World Cups, right? We elected a Prime Minister who's gotten elected for the 3rd time. We have had unicorns being built over the last 13 years, over and over again. We had so much funding happen in startup space. Food brands have come up. बहुत हुआ है 13 सालों में इंडिया में. And the fact that you have stayed connected allows you to do this a lot. What is the one thing, like I think I wanted to go deeper on this with you a little bit, but maybe we can do that on Foodpharmer 2.0 and on the BarberShop. But a lot of people, youngsters, feel that influence is an amazing currency, which they're right. They pursue it with a lot of passion. Okay, I want to create influence. You're doing it from a way of influencing policy and getting consumers to be more aware. A lot of people want to do it in different worlds. Like some people want to do it, and parents are doing it to their children. Actually, a lot of parents using their children to create influence. They are creating reels on children's sporting activities or acting activities and so on. So, बहुत content बन रहा है और लोग उसको बहुत अलग अलग तरीकों से बना रहे हैं, अलग अलग ऑब्जेक्टिव के साथ बना रहे हैं. When it comes to content as a life purpose, what is your point of view and philosophy on this for people who are doing it, spending time, learning skills, etc.? What would you say to them?
Just, I'm not very good with giving advice and all, but I think you have to just be very patient and your time will come. I feel like, it's like that. Like you have to be very patient. I have people know me as Foodpharmer, which is the last 13, 14 months. What people don't know is that for 7 years I've been making videos. You have just seen Foodpharmer, you've not seen Revant,
Correct.
Which was my earlier Insta handle. Uske pehle my Insta handle was Selfienomics, which is also the name of my book. But for 4-5 years, my Instagram handle was Selfienomics. And that time I used to make videos on completely different topics. So I used to make fun of South Calcutta, which is like the rich Calcutta, like, I'm from Calcutta and I used to make fun of that. So like, very different phases. So that time I used to get no views. 10 views aa rahe hain, ye wo. So you have to just be at it. But अगर मैं वो 7-8 साल वो नहीं किया होता ना, 6-7 साल, तो आज जो मेरा वीडियो वायरल हुआ, I would not be able to sustain the virality. Because for 7 years I made videos, I learned what works, what does not work. I learned कि story से कोई फायदा नहीं होता है. मतलब stories is just to engage your audience. उससे कोई नए new people don't find out. Earlier I did not know all this. So by virtue of doing it for 7 years, the moment I went viral, I knew how to
like increase it.
How to go and viral the next time and the next time and the next time. So I think you have to be very patient and keep focusing on like just learning, adapting and things like that, which I think a lot of Gen Z and below don't have the patience for often.
Yeah.
While they're very good with content, they want results very quick.
आज
हाँ कि अभी डाला, अगर 1 साल मेहनत किया और अगर 1 साल में रिजल्ट नहीं आया, and they're like ये क्या हो रहा है, ये मतलब मेरा एक कोई इशू हो गया, ये हो गया, मतलब कि they don't realize how normal it is to not have that result. So that is, I feel like more people need to realize that. And जब कोई result आता है ना उनका, and then they become successful, then they're like अरे मैं कितना struggle किया था, 1 साल मैंने हर दिन किया और फिर मैं successful हुआ. They don't realize कि कितना time लगता है कोई चीज़ में. And I am actually today retrospectively happy कि when my book had come out 8 years ago my book came out, 10 years ago I had written it, that it did not commercially do that well. And had it done well, maybe I would not have understood some of the lessons which I now know. And maybe I would have become big and then I would have again tanked. But now I think I've learned a way more in the last 8-9 years. I've become slightly more mature in some ways. So I feel like you have to be slightly like fine with that process, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And finally, before we let you go, words for people who want to do something that influences and creates impact the way you have. I think you're right. Every day, there is, like today, Varun and Raghav were here, they're talking about services business where there was lack of trust. कि carpenter आ रहा है, plumber आ रहा है, beautician आ रहा है, etc. You don't know who is good, who is bad. कोई AC का repair करने आ गया, वो बोल रहा है कि तुमको नया पार्ट चाहिए, तो तुमको लगता है कि ट्रस्ट करना जरूरी है. Like it's you are going to con me, right? I think we live in a low trust environment in general, right? And people who create an transparency in low trust environments are gold. Like what you're doing in the food space, there's insurance, beauty, personal care, hospitality. People are reviewing. People are not holding corporations and larger forces accountable. And there is a huge opportunity for that to happen. Do you think that is like the kind of food farmer army that you can actually create in a way? Yeah, and what are your thoughts on that? Like, have you thought about that? Or you thought, ki, nahi yaar, I'm going to go deep in whatever the place I've chosen, I'm not going to go wide at all?
I think, yes, I do want to go wide. As I've said, many people have told me we need a food farmer in every sector. We need someone in the fashion space, we need someone in the beauty space, we need someone in the insurance space. Now, I also don't want to be irresponsible when I make a video, which is why it's very easy for me to make a video on shampoo or things like that. I've just not made it because I'm not as well informed, so I'm learning. The last 6-7 months I've been learning ki kya acha hai, kya nahi hai. Only if I feel I'm slightly well informed will I make that video. But I think one thing which I have not done that well, and it's also because of the result, because I'm not monetized, is that I don't have a team. So मैं कितना कुछ खुद कर सकता हूँ. तो मैं food में restrict किया हूँ because of lack of team as well. But I think once I properly start monetizing and I build that will give me the liberty of building the team. Once I build the team, it will help me go wide as well. कि चलो मैं ये space में भी कुछ कर सकता हूँ, ये में भी कुछ कर सकता हूँ. Because I am passionate not only about health and food. I am passionate about way more topics than health and food. There are 3-4 topics broadly I am passionate about. Health is one of them. And I will hopefully want to go to the rest as well.
What are the others?
From a purely social, like I believe there are 4 biggest problems in the world. Health, animal cruelty, extreme poverty, and climate change. I think for the next 5-7 years, 10 years, I'll probably focus more on health. Hopefully, I have the courage and the resources and the conviction to focus on animal cruelty and extreme poverty. That is probably from a purely social end. This is not a business thing, ki food farmer. This is a
animal cruelty. You mean also from a, not just on the streets and so on, but also the meat industry, or you're saying mostly
Yeah, like in the meat industry, how the animals are treated. In fact, the animals on the streets, purely on a data numbers based perspective, it's very small in terms of numbers. अगर आप numerator और divided by denominator करोगे, animals on street क्या है ना वो visible है. Our humans, we are so brainwashed or whatever, not brainwashed, but like हम जो आंखों के सामने देखते हैं हमें वो दिखता है, but जो वॉल के पीछे हो रहा है वो देखते नहीं है.
And we prefer to not see it also.
हाँ, we prefer not to see it as well. तो अगर आप प्योर सिंपल मैथ करोगे, न्यूमरेटर डिनोमिनेटर, एनिमल ऑन स्ट्रीट्स आर लाइक 10-15,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh. Denominator is in billions. So how those animals are treated behind the thing is like something which I feel like deserves to. But I don't think I have the resources, courage, or whatever right now. But that will be something. Hopefully, I will be able to do at some point, which I'll try to get into.
I mean, वहाँ पे philosophical बहुत है. मतलब it's also a source of protein, which is cheap. So
no, I am not.
For hunger.
I am not even talking about non-veg, veg. I am just talking about how animals are treated.
Treat them well, even if you're eating them, treat them well.
Yeah, I am not even talking about non-veg, veg here. वो debate में मैं जा भी नहीं रहा हूँ.
Understood. You clearly are someone with a decades-long vision. Revant, this is like, frankly, I was expecting a very different tenor to the conversation. I was expecting it to be, company bashing and, you're right, on the pendulum spectrum, more activist than capitalist, but you are an incredibly thoughtful human being. I think you think about things in depth. You're a philosophical human being. That's the unfortunate thing about people who are influencers, is because people make up their minds about them or have a vision of them which is sometimes very different, because a human being is obviously so much more complex and so much more layered. And you're a very impressive person, and not only the outcomes you've achieved in 14-15 months, with of course years of preparation before that, but also in the humility with which you treat that success. You transparently showcase your fear for the right reasons. You're equally excited about your future and the future for all of us who are going to read labels more and more because of you. But thank you so much for taking the time. It has been a phenomenally enriching discussion for me personally, and for our viewers as well. And I'm hoping that we are able to bring you back here every time you do something super interesting, which I'm sure happens every few months. But all the very best, and may all the things that you are wishing for happen as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. And we do have a gift for you.
Oh, thank you.
Which I don't know whether you can carry it back on a flight, but we're going to give it to you anyways. Thank you.
Whoa, I didn't expect so much.
This is for you, and hope you enjoyed. There are some women's products which you can give women in your family, friend circle, whoever. But the rest of it you can absolutely use yourself.